suffering is unnecessary. If you suffer, you're stupid. What are you going to say about that? It's stupid suffering. Because it's only having intelligence to see inside that you can be free. It's not about getting it from somebody else, being devotional. Unfortunately, there's no other way. You've got to do the hard yard. Each individual's got to do it for themselves. All we can be grateful to the Buddha is that he showed the way. And there are still people doing this, practicing this path, 2,600 years after Buddha's time. This centre, this is what I want to evolve into, a meditation community that some people will do long-term practice. We've got a nun coming here doing 2 months, February, March. People like that. And she's a teacher, and hopefully eventually she'll give some retreats here. So we're looking for teachers who do this. Well, Satipatthana Vipassana. I'm not going to say it's just Mahasi. And you don't need to be a Buddhist. You can be a secular Buddhist if you like. Certainly. I personally say I'm a non-sectarian Buddhist. Whatever that might mean. So I'm very clear what is the Buddhist culture and what is the teachings the Buddha gave. Not in a fundamentalist sense, but in more, as an outsider, person who was not brought up as a Buddhist, not conditioned to be a Buddhist, it's easy for me just to see what's the teaching you will find. Whereas somebody who's been brought up in a Buddhist culture, it's quite difficult for them actually. The same as a Christian, they would find difficulty really what the core teachings are about. But I think that's why more and more Westerners would do Buddhist practice without saying they're Buddhist. But if you go deep enough, you will then, without identifying with it, appreciate the practice. And I would say that Satipatthana Vipassana is a universal. That's why it's now being picked up so much as mindfulness, sure, but it's a universal. It's not, the Buddha never went up to heaven or someplace and came down with the teachings. He had rediscovered within his own being an ancient path. He worded it that way. So actually we're very fortunate to even have any understanding of it, because it'd be a rare person who could find that path, even within their own mind. Although now we're seeing that neuroscience is perhaps to some extent verifying the Buddhist practice of the mind, isn't it? And we're seeing that the mind can heal itself. It's the plasticity of the mind. Through the training, through repetition of training, you can change your mind. You can reconfigure the mind. And that's what Buddhist understanding has always been, that everything's changeable. What you find with the Dharma, wherever you are, whatever you practice, you never need be stuck. It doesn't matter. It's always changing. If you're in the flow and you're not clinging or identifying so much with your own upbringing, your own conditioning, you'll find everything's changing in flow. So why get stuck? And we tend to do that. And we tend to be constantly caught this polarization of the mind. Liking, disliking, gain and loss, praise and blame. If somebody blames you, it may be even abuse. It's difficult to be okay about it. But there you go. It is, it's that person who's abused. When somebody abuses you, the Buddha said it's like, you're screaming at the heavens. It comes back down on you. If you don't take it, without aggravating that person who's abusive towards you, or blames you, it's fine, If you're going to get praise, you're definitely going to get blame. That's how it is, isn't it? And if you gain, there's loss. And loss can be looked at, you're learning something from it. But certainly happiness, is not something we pursue, as in the American Constitution. Happiness comes more when there's more equanimity, there's more peace. It's not, when there's absolute peace, then there's more balance. We're not seeking happiness, we're not pushing away unpleasant things or unhappiness. We just accept things as they are. It's never going to be perfect. We're never going to be that. Only the statue sits up here. That's perfect. I've been watching it very closely. It's never moved a muscle. So, and it's gold too. One thing I do find difficult with how Buddhism's presented, there's an ideal, and 99% of us are never going to be that get to that perfection. So I'd rather work where I'm at rather than work with some ideal how things should be or could be, rather than working where I'm at and from there gain some understanding. So key thing is to maintain equanimity but not its near enemy. People withdraw, and so the near enemy of equanimity is aloofness, they just disengage. But that's not equanimity has been onlooking, engage. So equanimity comes through the insight knowledges. There's a definite level of equanimity that comes through once you've worked with your feelings and emotions. If there's an okayness about the emotions, nobody's perfect. We get upset from time to time, or get hyped up about something, overexcited. It's okay. But if we come back to equilibrium, we can carry on. These 8 worldly winds are a good teaching, especially if we're aware of the nature of the mind. And slowly we can maintain more okayness, more balance, less reaction, be less impulsive, and more considered. So that's we're off the hook to a large extent if we can maintain this middle way. Personally, for me, it's a Buddhist way. I'm sure that it doesn't have to be labelled a Buddhist, but essentially it is. Teaching comes from the Buddha, Buddhist path. So, equanimity.